Hi, Cal from BHP UK. Just wanted to show you a little bit about the development that we put into the Husqvarna 701. This is the Husqvarna 701. It's running the LC4 engine, single pot 690cc KTM engine. It's running the Keyhin ECU. We tend to buy our own bikes for development. It means that we can do as many runs as we like. We can do what we like to the bike. This particular bike, we've modified the wiring loom a little bit. That means that we can just take any analog inputs that we want to put into the dyno software, but also whenever we do a run, we log everything on the Texa onboard diagnostics, so we can build up a proper picture of what the bike's doing in its different mapping modes, and then we can come up with a strategy as to how we're going to make that better. Right, so we've got the standard bike run, and we've done a couple of maps for it, and we're happy with the maps that we've got for the standard bike. And I'll just show you what we've actually managed to achieve. So the standard bike, this is for comparison's sake, we're just going to use mode 2 or map 2 on the bike. At 20% throttle, it's really lumpy, the power is really erratic, it's a little bit horrible to ride, and you can see here at 20% throttle, the power delivery is not smooth, to say the least. With the map, and we've achieved all of this just with a little bit of timing and smoothing the fuel out properly. We've not added any throttle management to this. We've not opened the throttle more or anything like that. Just by smoothing the fuel out, we can get a much better power delivery, and that's at 20% throttle opening. The difference is fairly astonishing when you're actually riding the bike on the road. At 40% throttle opening again, just by smoothing the fuel out, we've got a little bit smoother and a little bit more power. The power comes in nicer and it comes in a little bit quicker. That theme just carries on across the throttle range. At 60%, that's the modified file, and that's the standard file. And at 100% throttle, we've made a little gain, and we've gone from 65 brake horsepower at the back wheel. This bike's only supposed to make 67 brake horsepower at the crank. It produces a little bit more power than that because there's no way it only loses 2 brake horsepower in the transmission. So we get 65 at the back wheel, and after the map we gain a couple of horsepower, and we're running at 67 brake horsepower. Right, so we've got all the original bike set up exactly how we wanted it. We've made some good gains. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to fit an Acroprovic can, run it again, make sure we can set it up for that, and then we'll fit some of the more popular mods like the Rottweiler intake cover, and then we'll set it up with that on as well. Right, so with the intake and the exhaust fitted to the bike, with the standard map on it, we found that the bike went a little bit lean. It made a little bit of power at the bottom end, but it lost a little bit of power at the top. We've managed to correct that with the remap, and now the bike makes about 10 brake horsepower between 4,000 and 5,000 RPM above standard. At the top end, you don't really gain a lot with the additional modifications. I think the engine's reached its maximum volumetric efficiency, and we're not really going to gain any more than 67 brake horsepower from this setup. But the other thing that we can do with this bike is, because all the maps are bespoke and written in-house by us, we can adjust the throttling and the mapping modes to make it as aggressive or as sedate as you like. We don't have to lose any of the power at the top end. I personally find that it'd be handy, it'd be nice to have a mapping mode that was a little bit more aggressive than the stock sport mode that Husqvarna give you. We can program that into one of the map modes, so it's still switchable. You can still have your rain mode, you can have the standard sport mode, and you can have a very aggressive sport mode for track use or just some fun around the lanes, really. Now, if you're not local to us and you can't get the bike to us, we can still supply our maps to you. It's just a simple case of supplying you with one of our ECU flashes. You would plug this into your diagnostic port, take a read from the bike, and send that file to us. from the software version, and if you tell us what modifications you've got to the bike, one of the map writers will write a bespoke file for you. Again, you can select whatever you want on the mapping modes. If you just want to leave the mapping modes as standard, you can do. If you want to make them a little bit more aggressive, you can do. You can just request that when you send us the file, and we'll get the file back to you, and you can upload it back to your bike. The additional advantage of this is you can have up to 10 maps held on there, so you could have a map to put the bike back to standard if it needed ever to go back to Husqvarna, or you wanted to put it back to stock mode. You could have a setup for your cans, and you could have a separate setup for track days and for serious sport use.